Listen, since this is going to be recorded and we're sending this out to everybody, I don't know who actually watches the recordings, but I want to go over something because this has happened to me twice so far this week, or I've had a couple of guys call me up and I don't know if they're freaking out because they think the software's broken or what, but their numbers weren't making sense. And so I set my demo account up to match one of the companies. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's happened twice, and it's happened twice in 1 week. There's a good chance that it could be happening to somebody else. So what happened was a guy called me up. We were talking to a guy last night, and he said, Kelly, my numbers don't make sense. And he had his company set up. He had like $60,000 a month in overhead. He had 6 employees, and he wanted to make $350,000. But he just felt like his PMM for a 2-man crew was just too high, and he couldn't sell it at that. And he also thought his hourly PMM was really high. And this is the power of the Profit Genie if you understand it. So the first thing I said is, I need you to go into your business details. So we went up here to the gear icon.
You need to share.
Oh, well, that would be a good idea. Should I do it this way? Yeah, I'll just share. Do I share or do I just?
There.
Okay.
Now we see you.
Okay. So business details. Let's open up the business details. And he was working 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. But the part that was, I didn't change this. The part that was concerning to me was that he was ending his year on November 2nd. And actually both guys, I said, well, why are you ending on 2nd? And they're like, I don't know. I think they were worried that they weren't going to make any money, or they weren't going to be able to sell enough work or whatever. But now that this is saved, let me show you guys what
they were being conservative, I think, and saying,
that could be it too. So being conservative, but this is where it was. Okay, now it makes sense. So their PMM was at $3,171 a day, and their hourly was $176. And that's when I said, all right, let's go check and see what's going on. So we went to the business details, opened it up, and I realized that, yes, they're working 10-hour days. They're working a 40-hour week, but it's only 4 days a week. So I said, well, listen, you can run your business the way I do. I basically run 4 10s and then a 4-hour day on Fridays. And there's no way to do that in the software. So that ends up being 8.8 hours a day. This is just the way I run. All right. So we changed it to 8.8 hours a day. We then changed it to 5 days a week. And we went up here and we changed this to December 1st. And I want to show you guys what this does to your numbers. So I'll save my business details. And now we go back to the Profit Genie. It almost drops it almost $1,000 a day and $20 an hour. And that's with an hour of unbilled labor. Then one of the guys that I was talking to took our advice. He went out and he bought a job site trailer, and now he's able to take the 1 hour and put it at 0. So it doesn't change. This doesn't change your daily PMM. It changes your hourly rate. And the reason why it doesn't change your daily PMM is because you still need to make $23.55 a day. It just pushes your jobs out, so they take longer, if that makes any sense. But I remember last year I didn't sell out the last 2 weeks in November for 2 of my crews. And I was freaking out to Greg because I understand my PMM. And I think we calculated, Greg. And the other thing is, you guys have to understand that your overhead doesn't stop. So you're losing all that production, which I think we were figuring out. The production loss was $111,000 plus $60,000 in overhead. That puts you at $171,000 that you're basically losing. by not working in November. So if the weather is permitting, you guys have 3 things you have to worry about. You have to sell. You got to fill out your entire year, because we in the landscaping industry, we can't afford that extra 4th month. And if you really think about it, in my business, September, October, and November are my profit months. If I miss out on November, I'm going to be a hurting unit going through the winter. So I wanted to make sure, I wanted to go over this so that people can understand it. If your numbers are looking a little bit off, it could be because you're being, and like Greg said, it's being conservative, but that being conservative, you have to understand that if you want the kind of money you want, and in this case, it was $350,000, you're going to have to get really good at sales, or get better at sales and sell more works. One of the two, but I'd rather have my number lower and work all the way through November. Okay.
Does that make sense, guys? I mean, just to be clear, when you reduce the number of production hours you have, you got to sell more in the time that you do have. It makes it harder.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's not always intuitive, because you're not thinking about your calendar, how that's affecting your pricing, but it does.
Well, even me back in the day, before I learned all this stuff, you're happy you're working, right? And I was thinking about my marketing for Elevation Advisor this year, and I was working with Chat, and Chat was saying that March is scary for landscapers. And I said, Chat, no, March isn't scary for landscapers. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. March, I believe, is a liar to landscapers. And I'll tell you why. Because as soon as March hits, the sun's out, right? Money starts flowing in, and you're busy, and you got money in your bank account. And so the cash flow that we experience from March all the way through the summer gives us this false sense of security that, oh my gosh, this year we're going to actually make more money. And if you really don't understand the concept of being productive as many hours in a day as you can, and as many days in the year as you can, all that cash flow is doing is giving you a false sense of security. And the problem is, you get to the end of November, you get into December, and all of a sudden that stack of cash, we've all felt this, right? The stack of cash goes away because your bookkeeper keeps paying bills, which they have to, but you're getting angry. And now we're sitting at the kitchen table doing kitchen table math, stressed out at 1 a.m. so your wife doesn't see you, trying to figure out how you're going to make it through the winter. And I guarantee you it's because of 2 things. It's the unbilled labor that you're not accounting for, and not producing as many days out of the year as you possibly can. So take care of those 2 things, get your PMM, and you're going to be a lot better off.
Sounds like a man talking from experience.
I've done a lot of table math at 1 a.m. in January and February, hoping my wife didn't see me. I've spent many nights doing that. So, all right. Today's call is about building lighting template. So let's build a lighting template. Today we're going to build out. So this is a funny story, guys. I have used unique lighting systems since 1999. I think it was 99, maybe. Yeah. Nah, maybe even 90. Yeah. 99. Who cares? Right. That was a long time ago. I started using my first lighting system I ever put in was unique. And it was a big one. Right. And honestly, Todd at Horizon told me how to install it. And I went out and I installed it, and I did a great job. And then I started selling lighting systems. And then Horizon had this collaboration with Unique and Hunter, and they flew me and some other guys down to San Diego, and we got to do a whole lighting class with Nate, the guy that started Unique Lighting. And he was a total jerk, but I loved his lights. And from that day forward, man, I was loyal, and I loved their warranty. But in the last several years, we've switched over to FX. So I'm going to build out an FX lighting system today. You guys can use whatever lighting system you want. My guys just said that they like it better. There's more just unique sold out to auto rain, and I don't think that they're really expanding, and I don't think they have their edge as much anymore. So that's what we're using. So I'm going to go down into the weekly builder. And to make a template, we will go in. And I'm going to just do, I'm going to add a section. I'm going to call it FX. Is it typing? Yep. Low voltage. And you guys remember, whatever you type here is what your clients are going to see on the proposal. So you want it to be right grammatically and all that. So we're going to add that to the proposal, and then we'll hit save. Does this help if you guys, are you guys going to follow along and do this as I do it? Or are you just, you are,
That's
Josh?
I'm doing that. Yeah.
Okay. So if I go too fast, just tell me to slow down. All right. So we're going to open it up. In this scenario, we don't need to use a format. I don't know if you guys know this, but if you create like a new, we'll go over actually, you know what? We'll go over this next week. I'll come up with something cool. But if you create a new section, you can select from the pre-built templates we have and use one of these templates as a base for your new template. So you can actually use the calculator and some of the automations. I just did it yesterday with Kevin. I built out a French drain, and it was pretty cool being able to do it. So, but we don't need it on this one because we don't have any automations. So we're just going to add a material. And when I build out templates, I build them out as my brain thinks that we'll put them in the field. Okay. So this is just the way my brain works. You guys can put them in any order you want, but I am going to just click on FX. And that's fun. It doesn't show any of my items. So
you got a category for lighting, don't you?
Well, Greg, you know what my problem is? I can't build it in my demo account. I have to build it in my legacy account. So give me 1 second. Because I don't have FX in my demo account and I don't want to add them. Okay, I can do it here. Go back. Okay, I gotta start over. X. Okay. All right. And we'll go down to the bottom and we'll click on this. All right. Now we're back in business. So I'm going to add a material and I'm going to type in FX, and all my FX materials should come in, but it's not. So FX 150. All right. So I'm going to add my transformer. Now there's two ways we can do this when you guys build out your templates. Okay. And I'm going to show you both ways. So we can click on the transformer. Then I can hit save. I can see that it's there. And now I have to go back and add the next material. All right. And we can continue to do that. So now we're going to look for the Wi-Fi plug. And that's right here. This is the FX Wi-Fi plug. I'll click on that. And then if I hit save, it's going to add it. The faster way to do this, if it doesn't confuse you, is to add a material. And the next one we're going to look for is 18-inch. I'll look up FX, my path light. So I'm going to click on the path light. And then I'm going to go up to search. And I'm going to clear my search or double click on that. And I'm going to type in the next thing, which is FX directional. Now you'll see that the path lights, they went away, right? They're no longer on the screen, but they're still checked in the background. So they're still there. You just can't see them. So now we're going to click on the directional light. And let's do one more so I can show you how this works. And then I'm going to do what we call ACE shrink connectors. I'm going to click on those. The ACE shrink connectors. Have you heard of those, Joshua?
I have not.
So when you daisy chain these, right, you have to make your connections.
Mm-hmm.
The ACE shrink connector is like the BMW of connectors for connecting your light to your main wire. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what they are. Kevin, my guy, told me this is how we're doing it. So this is how we build it.
Okay.
The last lighting system I put in was on the hub system. And that's when I don't know if you guys know that you use hubs and then you would use wire nuts inside the hub. Have you done that?
That's the only way I've ever done it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Well, and that's why I stayed so loyal to Unique, is because of the hub system. Because of LED lights, they don't get the voltage drop anymore the way halogens did. I don't know do you understand that that's why you had to use the hub system?
No.
So, okay, a little bit of education here because I geek out about this. The reason why you use the hub system is because you go out from your transformer out to wherever you're going to put some lights, right? And then you put a hub, and then you put up to 5 lights on that hub, right? Okay, and the idea is each one of those lights has to have the same amount of cord or wire, okay? And the whole point of that is that you get the same amount of voltage drop to each light. So now, and that's why they came up with multi-tap transformers. That's why transformers have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to 18 volt taps, okay? Because back when we were using halogen lights, I remember they had to run between 10.2 and 12 point something. I forget what the number was, but they had to function between a certain amount of volts or amps, okay? Anything above or below, they would pop prematurely. Like they would go out. Like, so you had to put your lights in a multi-tap, and then you have to go back and you'd have to figure out what voltage they are. Okay. That is all gone now because of low voltage lights. And so now you can actually, Joshua, you can run all of your lights in a daisy chain. There's a calculator now online. I don't know where it is, but the point is, before you have to do a second run, you can put quite a few lights on the daisy chain. So, and there is a calculation that will tell you based off of how many lights you have, the last light can't be below a certain amount of volts or amps. I don't remember anymore. I've been out of the field way too long, but so now you can, and that's why we switched to FX, because Unique still makes their lights with a 25-foot lead. And when we got rid of the hub system, we don't need the 25-foot lead anymore because we can daisy chain. And that's why we're building out the FX today, because we stopped using plus the FX has some more options to be able to use. So a lot more variety.
It's a little bit more like putting Christmas lights up now, huh?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. You don't have to plan it out as much. You don't have as much wire. Or maybe you might, I don't know. You might have, I think that might be a wash, but anyway, so the shrink connectors, I think that they're in your catalog. You can put those in. You can call, I don't know if you buy from Horizon. I think you buy from Horizon. You can call Steven. He'll tell you all about it. But anyway, we're going to put in a shrink. Now, all three of the items that we just put in all showed up. We have our 18-inch path light, directional light, and shrink connector. So that is a way that you can build your templates out quicker, especially if you can just go through and you can think things through. And if you forget something, you can always put something back in. And of course, these move so you can organize them in any order that you want to put them in. So we're ready to move on, Joshua. Jeff, you still there?
I'm here. I'm building it.
All right, cool. Okay, so where do we leave off? Now we're going to put our low voltage wire. So I'm going to use 12-2 low voltage wire. Some 12-2 is plenty, guys. You might have a huge job and you might put in 10 gauge, but at that point, I would just run another home run. And I guess the only way I would probably use 10-2 is if I had to put the transformer out on somebody's shop and I had to run 200 feet to the house to get to the lighting. At that point, you would want to use 10-2. And then when you got to the house, you could probably go down to 12-2. So, anyway, I've always used 12. I don't think we ever used 10-2. Oh, we got somebody coming in.
That 10-2 is not in the system either.
Because I don't use it.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have to tell you that I guess the scenario I just gave you, you would definitely want to use 10-2 if you had to go that far away. So,
yeah.
Okay. So we'll hit save. No, we won't hit save. So now we'll go up and we're going to do okay. So I always stake my wire down. This is the way we do things. We don't bury the wire. We just stick it on grade. So if we're doing bark, we'll just put it right under the bark and then we'll stake it down. If we're doing weed fabric, we'll definitely not bury it because you want to be able to access it. We'll stake it down to the weed fabric. So now we need to put in our 6-inch round right here. 6-inch 11 gauge round top staple. And that's what we're going to use to stick the thing in the ground. Then we just need our 1-inch conduit. So I'm going to look up 1-inch conduit. Schedule 40 PVC conduit for transformer. So I'm going to click on that. And then we're going to do our electric male adapter. So type in electric. We got our 1-inch electrical male adapter. So just so you guys know, you got your transformer sitting on the wall, right? And then you got that little pop out in the bottom. And then your you're gonna pop that pop out, and then you're gonna run that male adapter up inside the transformer. And then the next thing we're gonna add is the lock nut. That's a 1-inch lock nut. That's going to screw on to the male adapter inside the transformer, and that's what's going to hold that male adapter and conduit into the transformer. Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. And then we have our conduit strap. And those are just the little 1-inch straps that you screw to the siding to keep the conduit secure. Put those in. Now, you're going to have little miscellaneous crap like black electrical tape, I'm sure, and some other things. I don't put that in here, but you're more than welcome to. So we're going to hit save. And that's our template. Now, I'm going to show you guys something that I do because I think Greg was saying I have 400 parts in between all of my templates, 380 or something like that.
464 now.
464. Okay. Thank you, Greg, for that. I appreciate that.
Accuracy is important.
It is important. We're laughing because Greg's a data scientist and he geeks out he goes into my accounts and he's constantly, it's pretty cool what he does, but it's when he says 464, you guys can bank on the fact that I have 464 items in my templates. Okay. So here's what we do. I don't have to put any notes on the transformer, but you guys, this right here, this description is one of the coolest things in the software. This is a description for this part only. Okay. And it's only going to show up in the proposal. And this was what's really cool. You can put a description in here, and as long as you don't save that description and update the catalog, it will only be the description for this particular template. So the reason why that's cool is we use 2x6 tens, right? We use 2x4 tens all the time in our company. Well, sometimes they're for forming up a driveway. So I'm going to use a completely different description and time for that 2x4 10 on a driveway as I'm going to use framing up a deck, right? If I have to just use it for bracing. Is this making sense, you guys? I'm getting really deep, but this is some of the cool stuff about the software. Also, you can change the install minutes. If we go back to the 2x4, it's going to take way less time to install a 2x4 to brace up a deck than it's going to be to use a 2x4 to set for a driveway form. So as long as you don't update the catalog, like if you're building out a driveway and you build the template, you can change that install minutes and save it to the template, and it won't save it to the catalog.
Okay.
That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
So it really lets you use all these materials in different ways. So it's kind of cool. So anyway, what I do on these descriptions, I try to think about if somebody was bidding this job out that didn't know how to bid out a transformer, that didn't know how to bid out lighting. And what I'm saying is, doesn't mean they don't know how to do lighting. It just means when they come into the job, they need to be able to bid this exactly the way you do, right? It's kind of like having 3 crews out in the field. You kind of want all 3 crews to install things exactly the same way, so you don't have to have different heads on your truck because one crew does Rainbird and the other crew does Hunter. So the more descriptions you can use, the better off you're going to be that way. Joshua, even you could call your wife up and say, can you, I forgot, can you go bid out a lighting system for me? And she could go in here and it could say 1 transformer, right? For each lighting system. And that's going to work for 90% of the lighting systems we install, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then once you put that in there, we're just gonna hit save. And now that note is in there. And then when we save the template, that note's going to be saved in this template, but I didn't update the catalog. Now, if it's something like a transformer and it's just a one-time deal, I can update the catalog. And now every time I use this for a different template, it will show up. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
While I'm driving.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying about saving a template and not updating the catalog for like install time. Is that a change? Because I thought before it would always pull, even when you like use the template, it would always pull from the most current catalog numbers. And you had said to put in like 2 different catalog items with different install time instead.
I'm gonna let
Does that
Greg
make
answer
sense?
that because I might be saying something that's not true.
So Kelly's on the description. Kelly is correct, but it's always pulling the latest. It's going to always pull the latest cost and install times from the catalog. So it always pulls the latest, and you can change it. But the descriptions and the name of what you give it for a name do not update.
Okay, so you can't change the install time in a template, is what you're saying, Greg. You
Correct.
can't make it. Okay, I apologize. Scratch that.
Now, so I would leave this. I would open this up to you guys. If this is there's no right answer here. There's just trade-offs, right? So I think bringing in the latest cost to that item is always important. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. You want that. The install times, we can go either way, but if you update the catalog, my thought process on this is if you update the catalog, you want that to kind of permeate through everything. So you want everything to change. I can see where you'd want to save the catalog and have those install times be different there, but this is a kind of a trade-off. And if you guys say, no, I chose the wrong way, we can change it. I think we found the right balance, but you guys tell me.
No, I'm
I
okay
think
with. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, maybe there's just an option when you go to, so you pull in, like you were saying, the 2x4s with the default install time that you've got for decks. But now you're using it for something else. And when you go in to edit the install time, maybe there's just a checkbox to make new catalog item, and you have to rename it. You can't keep the same name. Maybe you rename it 2x4s, whatever else. And then it makes an easy way to add the catalog item with a different install time.
Yeah, we can think through that, but that's the trade-offs that we made. I like what you're saying, Melissa. We'll just have to kind of figure it out. We could even lock it. So we could say there's a little button there that says lock the install times on this template, lock it the way it is so it doesn't update. That's another thing we could do. So it doesn't change unless you change it.
Okay. I like that option better. I do, but okay. So for now, you can't have different install times in your templates because it will automatically update whenever your catalog's updated. So thank you, Melissa, for correcting me. I appreciate that. Okay. So since we're building this out and we have more time, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to type in how to bid this, right? So my FX Wi-Fi plug. So I'm going to use one for each lighting system. And the Wi-Fi plug, guys, is just literally you just plug it into the transformer, and that's what allows your clients to access the lighting from their phone. And I just include it because it's great. And whether they use it or not, they have it. And that way, if we get to the job site, I guess we could probably log in that way too to test things. So anyway, we'll just say one for each lighting system. I am going to update the catalog with this information because we only use this Wi-Fi plug for lights. And then 18-inch path lights. I don't even know what I would put on there. But you could put whatever you want. I'm not going to put a description on the path lights because path lights line up paths. I don't know if there's anything else I could do. The next one is directional lights. Anybody that's going to do a bid in my company knows what those are and they know how to calculate those. So that would be great, right? ACE shrink connectors. That's a big one. I would say one for each light. That's it. And I'm telling you guys, this is so helpful because when I'm doing $150,000, $200,000 landscape, and I've got so many things in it, I always will glance here and just make sure that I'm bidding it the way I intended the bid to be done. So I'm going to update the catalog with that. And then the low voltage wire, I don't have anything to say on that. But the ground stakes, I do one stake for every 2 feet of wire. That's important. If somebody's bidding this out, they are not going to know how many staples to put in, but they will know how much wire they just bid. So if they bid 400 feet of wire, they know they're going to put in 200 staples. So I think that's a really important note. Am I going too fast?
Can you say that one more time? How many staples do you put in per foot?
I figure one staple for every 2 feet of wire. Now, do my guys put that in? I don't know. That's just how I bid.
Yeah. You have plenty of staples in.
Doesn't seem like a lot to me, but you guys are the experts.
Well, it's not a lot, Greg, because the problem is when you're not burying this, when you're only burying it in
That's true.
rock and bark, I would be willing to venture that my guys easily put in 1 every 2 feet. They might even put 1 every foot. So it definitely, and I don't know if you guys do this, but whenever you staple these to the ground, you should always put your staples in at a 45. Never straight down, because they have a tendency to pop up. And when you put them at the 45, there's more friction and they don't pop up as much. All right. One schedule. So my transformer, I always bid in 10 feet. I know you would never use that much, but I don't care. So I always bid in 10 feet of conduit for each transformer. No, I'm not going to update the catalog with that because I use schedule 40 for all kinds of things. I just call it for transformer, but so we're going to go to the next one. Geez, Melissa, I'm still feeling stupid for giving the wrong information. I sure do appreciate you bringing that up. Male adapter. We're going to do 1 for each transformer. And lock nut, 1 for each transformer. And galvanized strap, I do 3 for each transformer. And then I'm going to hit save. And all of that should show up. Yep. Cool.
Cool.
So now when we do the bid, I know you guys probably know this, but now we just click on the first quantity, that would be the transformer. I'm going to type in 1 transformer, and then I'm going to hit enter. It takes me to the next one in line. I'm going to do a Wi-Fi plug. We'll say that let's say there's 10 path lights. So I'll hit 10 path lights. And let's say there's 6 directionals. And then I've got 16 lights total, right? I have 10 and 6. So we're going to use 16 ace shrink connectors. So you kind of have to remember those lights. If you don't remember them, you can still see the numbers over here. They're just grayed out, right? So I can see my 10 and 6. So I know there's 16. I got 1 for each light. I'm going to put in 16 ace shrink connectors. We'll say that there's 300 feet of wire, which means there's going to be 150 staples. I'm going to have 10 feet of conduit. I'm going to have 1 male adapter, 1 lock nut, and 3 galvanized straps. Now, one thing I didn't go over, Jeff, if you're making this, or Melissa, if you're going to make this, I did not go over my install times. But they're here in the video. If you guys want to go back and watch the video, you can get the install times. Again, I just have to say, these are my install times. They're always changing. You're more than welcome to use them, but I would always check them against your crews. But I do think it'll give you a pretty good baseline. This is a 16 zone system or 16 light system. And the software's saying it's going to take 9 hours for a crew of 2 to put it in. I honestly think that's really, really reasonable. It might take my guys a little less time, but I definitely know it won't take them more time. Now, since we're talking about lighting, I want to go over something with you guys really quick. Does anybody know what the industry, I hate using this term, does anybody know what the industry standard is per fixture for a lighting system? I think it's usually around $350 a fixture. So if that's the case, we have 16 lights times 350. So this system should be around $5,600, right? Now that I've got this built, I'm going to go to the markup section. And our low voltage lighting That's funny. It's $5,625 but that's at my PMM. Okay. And my PMM is $2,892 a day for 2 guys. I know some of you guys are closer to that 2,200. So what I do on my lighting systems, I don't want to just make $2,800 on a lighting system. I feel like this is something that's really cool. It's something that they're going to add more than likely later. So I will usually mark mine up to 1.8 or to 2 point. So I might just go 2. And that's going to pop it up to $6,800. I'm making $4,000 a day. That's what I want to make on my lighting system. So you can always go in and mark some of these up. And I will tell you guys, the only 3 things that I mark up more than what the software tells me is my lighting. I just want to make more money on lighting. Stereo systems, because we do a lot of stereo systems, and plants. I don't feel like the software marks plants up because you're making your PMM. It's not like the software is messing you over, but if you have to replace plants, I always mark my plants up to like 1.8. And right now they're at 1.4 because you could put plants in the ground way faster. You're making money, but it really isn't covering any warranty. So I'll typically go up to 1.7. And as long as I'm making $4,500 a day, I'm actually okay with that. It will cover any warranties I have to do. Those are some fun little side notes for today's meeting.
Do you mark your plants up on the back end in the catalog, or do you mark them here? You mark them up here.
Yeah. Nothing in my catalog is marked up.
Okay.
And the reason for that, Joshua, is because if you mark your plants up in your catalog, when we come out with reporting, it's going to give you skewed results because your cost of your plants is actually lower than what you put into the catalog, right?
Right.
So all your materials, and I've thought about that, right? I thought, okay, I can just go in and I can just mark up my plants. I can mark up my lights and I can mark up but it's not going to give me the true story. And you guys, if you know anything about me, I'm all about profit, right? We're in this business. We got to be profitable. There's no sin in making a profit. There's only a sin if you make a profit and you're screwing your customers. And the only way you could screw your customers is by not taking care of them. Make sense? You're not screwing your customer by charging more than somebody else if you give them really good customer service. I had a client tell me years ago, I'll edit it because every other word the guy said was the F word, but he and I got in this big argument because he wanted to see the total costs on his project. And I'm like, I'm not going to show you my costs. Then you're going to know my markup. And he goes, you don't think that I know that you're the most expensive gosh darn guy in the face of the earth? He goes, that's why I hired you, because I knew you're the most expensive guy out there. I just want to know what my costs are, because when I'm sitting on the patio drinking whiskey with my friends, I want to brag to them and say, I got $30,000 worth of pavers that you guys are sitting on. And it was a flex. Literally, that's the only reason why he wanted his costs. And that's the day I thought, what do I have? That's literally, I don't remember when I did his job, but that was the same year that really gave me the confidence to say, I make my money on my labor. I don't mark my materials up. And it literally was like, if somebody wants to see the costs, all right, here you go. I gave you everything at cost. Well, you sure made a lot of money on profit. And I'll be like, aren't you glad I did? Because I'm still in business and I'll be able to take care of you in 3 years. So every item in your product catalog needs to be, in my opinion, without markup, because you needed to tell you the real story. And yeah, I want to know how much money I'll make. I want to make a lot more money a day on plants and lighting. Doing a great job driving, Melissa. Keep it up.
Now I'm out for pickup. This is what's happening when you work from home as a mom.
I get it. Okay. I don't know. I don't have anything else for you guys today, but I'm happy to answer questions. Is it cool how fast now that you can bid these stupid lighting systems once you get your times in?
Yeah. Yeah. I preset my template to include the transformer plug and, all the standard.
Yes.
I know it's necessary and it doesn't take long to put them in, but
No, but
like
I
that.
agree. I'm actually glad you brought that up because I think you should do that. So what he's saying, guys, is he knows he's going to have one transformer. He knows he's going to have one Wi-Fi plug. He knows he's going to have 10 feet of conduit, all of this. So really the only thing you're leaving open is the ground staples, the wire, the connectors, and the lights. And I think that's actually smart, Joshua.
Yeah.
I think that's really smart. I'm glad you brought that up. You guys know the software better than me. I love it. Any other questions?
And you don't include any equipment in lighting
I do.
on your account?
Yeah.
You do?
I should finish it out. I'm not saving this template because I already have it. But yes, the software now calculates your equipment when you put it into the templates. And the way I charge for my machines is if they're on the project, we're charging our daily rate. So I will add my track steer. So I think that's another important thing. We got a couple minutes. I think it's important for you guys to know the software. When you guys fill out your equipment, we ask you what you spent on it, how many years you're going to have it, and then what your salvage price is. Let's say you have I think this is important. Let's say you have a skid steer, you spent $50,000 on it, and at the end of 7 years, you're going to sell it for $10,000. So that gives you a difference of 40 grand, right?
Yep.
We're going to recoup that 40 grand over the next 7 years by you putting that machine into your software.
Into your proposals.
In your proposals. Okay. So you're charging the minimal amount of money on your equipment. And that way, if every day that it's on the job, you're just going to say it's on the job. Because
what's the best way though to account for it? Like if you put it into lighting and you have it accounted for there, but then you're also doing gravel on another line and you have it in there and it's, there for a day, like, what's the best practice so that you're not over.
The best practice, Joshua, is that you put it in every section of the landscape, right?
Okay.
So every section is calculating how many days you're going to be on it, right? So if you look at my bids, look, I'll just show you here.
Keep in mind while he's opening that up, keep in mind that when you present that proposal, you're generally presenting them with packages. So you're not sure what they're going to accept and what they're not going to accept. So if you don't add equipment in every section, you could be messing yourself up.
That makes sense. What if you created just one line for equipment and put it in the you got
the same problem
I'll tell
there.
you why. I'll tell you, Joshua, I used to do that. Okay. The problem is what Greg just said. Let's say you give someone a bid. This one is literally, this one is one that I just did this bid last night. Okay. So I know that this guy, I don't know why is this blue there? Okay. I know that this guy is not going to do this entire project. Right. So if this entire project is 20 days and you do your way, Joshua, and you just put a line item for a skid steer for 20 days, but then he gets rid of the ornamental iron fence, the garden area, and the lawn with sod, and he only does these, he could be cutting out 4 or 5 days. So you're charging him for 4 or 5 days where he's not using them. So
that makes sense.
That being said, I have in my rip out, I know that I'm going to use a track steer on every job in every section, period, end of story. So every template has a track steer. Okay. Every template does. And so So you'll see track steer there. And then with my beds, you'll see my track steer, right? And the last one didn't match up, and there's a reason, because there's a reason, but this one, it's in the template. So you see there's 0.1 day. Look, Joshua, we're only charging $7.39 for the skid steer, but that's because we're only using it for 1 hour.
Yeah.
But if you put the skid steer in every section, then you are counting that skid steer is going to be there for the duration of the job. Now, some guys might be like, well, if on the paver patio, we're not going to be using it every day, or like, I guess the big argument would be for us when we build our pavilions take 2 weeks. We're not using the skid steer we'll maybe use it for 4 days out of the 2 weeks that we're building a pavilion. But it doesn't matter, because I'm charging a minimal amount for that skid steer to be there. And so, the other way to do it is and this is the way a lot of guys do it, and I'm trying to simplify. Some guys, it's so stupid, I couldn't even imagine doing a bid this way. They'll say, all right, I'm going to have the machine there, so we'll charge $10 a day for the machine to be there, but then we're going to charge $150 an hour for every hour that the machine's working. Holy crap. What an awful way to bid, because now it's taking you forever to bid that way. So my way has always been, every day it's there, I'm charging for it.
Okay.
Now, that being said, if you go into my account, I'll just show you. I only have 2 excavators. Okay. Sometimes we need a third. And here's the problem, you guys. We never know which jobs are actually going to sell and which ones people aren't going to do, right? So we're pumping bids out. I don't know which jobs are going to sell. So I just put an excavator in every bid that needs an excavator. You following me?
Uh-huh.
But if I get to a spot in my calendar where I need 3 excavators, that means Kelly's going to have to go rent an excavator.
Uh-huh.
So knowing that, I mark my excavator up 18% in this percentage rate in the machines. So when you put your equipment in the software, I come down here, and when it says, what is the annual percentage rate? That's a percentage rate that you can charge even if your machines are paid for. And the way I came up with that number is over here, I'm charging $143 or $126.65 a day for an excavator. And if I take that 126 times 22, that's $2,772 a month that I'm charging for the excavator. That's a little bit less than what I'm going to have to rent for, but I'm banking on the fact that we're not going to rent as much. So I'm making more money on my excavator. So when I do have to rent, the little bit less will make up for the few times that I have to rent. Did I say that right,
Yep.
Greg?
Yep.
I think you did. It's just, you're trying to make sure that whenever you add a skid steer, whether you're renting or you're using one of your own, you're making enough money.
Yeah.
And you're splitting the difference a little bit.
Yep. Now, on my Takeuchis, I have 4 skid steers. I have 3 out in the field and 1 piece of crap that sits in my yard. So I don't need to charge rental prices for my skid steers, because if one breaks down, we can always come back and pick up our piece of crap Bobcat, and that'll nurse us through. Okay. So I don't have to charge rental prices on my skid steers because I don't need to rent. And all my skid steers are paid for. So I'm making crap loads of money on my skid steer. I'll show you guys right here. I'm still charging 15%. Well, this skid steer was paid for 6 years ago. And so I'm making $103. I'm making $60 a day on my skid steer because it was paid for 6 years ago. Now we still do quite a bit of maintenance on it. And one of these guys, I ended up putting a $20,000 motor in it a couple years ago. But I'm charging enough that we can afford to do that. So there's so many different ways, Joshua, you can manipulate the software. But you really need to be making money on your machines. So this, I talk about this in the video in the equipment, but let's say you went out and you paid cash for a skid steer, right? A lot of guys would be like, oh, I paid cash. I don't have to charge interest. Yeah, you do, because you could have taken that cash and put it in the market and made conservatively 10% on your money. So when we do these videos, I tell guys you should a minimum charge 7 to 8% on these machines, even if you paid cash, because your money should be working for you, not just your body.
And when you say 7 to 8%, are you talking about the annual percentage rate, plugging
Yep.
that into that spot?
Yep, right here.
Okay.
But
did you say that you put 18%?
I did on my excavators because I own both of them, but once in a great while, we'll have to rent a third one. I don't have a third one. So I'm charging enough on the two to cover it if I need to rent a third one.
Okay.
You should get a third one for your property, Kelly, and just keep it out there. And if it's needed on a job, they can come grab it.
Well, Joshua, let me explain something to you guys. The last 2 weeks, I've been working until 11 o'clock at night because I decided to start a software company and own a landscaping business. So I go home at 11 o'clock at night and my wife lets me know how dumpy our property looks because I don't even have time to go work on it without an excavator, let alone with one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a good reason.
It's a great reason. The Bobcat sits on the property and I use that once in a while, but no, I just call up Kevin and I say, I need to use an excavator on the property this weekend. Can you bring it home? And he brings it back to me and then he picks it up on Monday. So I'm pretty spoiled that way. But, I will tell you guys another way. When I buy machinery, I always buy machinery. This is really important. My banker taught me this. I was always paying cash. So whenever I had to buy a truck, I'd pay cash. I didn't want debt. But I never had any money in my account at the same time. And so my banker was like, Kelly, stop it. Stop paying cash for all of your equipment. She's like, you need the cash flow. And obviously she's a banker. So I was like, I'm not going to trust you. You want to make money off my interest. But she made a really good point. And so what I started to do is anytime I buy a piece of machinery, I always put down 25 or 30 grand on that piece of machinery. Typically, this is what I do. And then I will finance it for 5 years. Just in case something weird happens, I want to be able to make my payments maybe in a bad economy. Okay.
Okay.
But then I tell my accountant, figure out what the payments need to be to pay this sucker off in 3 years and make those payments every month. And so I just know that all my machines, all my equipment's going to be paid off in 3 years, but I have that cushion to call him up and say, hey, sales are light. I need you to make the minimums on these equipment right now until I start to get things figured out.
Yeah.
Or if it's winter time, right? And I don't have enough money to make it through the winter, I can call him up and say, pop the machinery payments down to my minimums until we get into March when I get my cash flow. So that's the way I do it. It's always worked for me. So I'll still put like 5 or 7 years on my machines when I put a new machine in the software, but I'm going to pay it off in 3 years. So I want to make sure this is real clear. If you do that, you're going to be paying out more on your machines than you're actually charging your customers. You just need to know that. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's going to come out of your Profit Genie number. But then in 3 years, when you're charging $2,000 a month for your machine, you're going to be making $2,000 a year on your machine for the rest of the duration, or $2,000 a month for the rest of the duration that you own that machine. And if you take care of your machines, you guys, I bought 2 Takeuchis from Doug when he sold Mid-Mountain Machinery, when he sold it to Sunbelt Rental. He called me up and he said, Kelly, they're making me get rid of these machines. They won't let me sell them at a profit. I have to dump them at auction prices. I'd rather you buy them. So I bought 2 Takeuchis for $25,000 each. I paid 25 grand for the 2 Takeuchis. This was back in like 2013, maybe 14. I had no business buying them, but I paid them off in 2 years. And now I just keep making money on them.
Never going to see that again.
No, I'll never see that again. The last Takeuchi I bought was 60 G's, but again, I put 30 down on it and then I paid it off in 3 years and now it's paid for and we're making 100, what? It's right here. It's right here. 103 bucks a day on it.
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyway, these are just some fun business facts that I like to share.
Can I ask a question that's off the lighting topic?
Of course.
So having to do with the contract details, where do we input contract details, and does that show up at the back end of the proposal?
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me see if I can. I just sent a proposal to myself yesterday. Where is it? Proposal's been accepted. New proposal right here. Yeah. So if we click to view the, I haven't even.
You have to share it, Kelly.
Well, yes, let's do that. Thanks, Gregory. Okay.
I'm always there.
So here is what your clients click on, right? This is a proposal that I emailed to myself. This is what your clients see.
Okay.
It doesn't have any numbers. This is a terrible one because I sent it from my demo account. So give me a second. Let me send one. Let me go.
Well, he's just looking for where to add the contract right now, Kelly.
Well, and he was at, yeah, okay, that's fine. So let's see here. No, I'm a dingbat, right? I'll show you where it goes and how to upload it, Joshua.
Okay.
I just can't share right now because these are my actual clients' names. What is that doing that for? Okay. Okay. It is. Okay. So this is my contract verbiage right here. So it's underneath your payments. Okay.
Okay.
So your payments are here. And then here's my contract. And then you actually add it right here, Joshua.
Okay.
So you say edit default contract. And each section of your contract, I can say add new section. And then you put the name of it. So my name is unforeseen. And then the content of that section goes right here.
Okay.
So you just add each section as you go.
Are you able to access this in the back end at all? If you go to like your gear on the far right and then be able to edit your contract?
No. Now it lives in proposals right now. But once you add it to one contract, it will show up on all contracts that you going forward.
Okay. So just like your templates, you're just building your contract template basically.
So there's only an option for one contract, basically. We can't have a contract that is also like, if we put in a water feature, we have a lot of verbiage just for water features and warranties. I
would just put that in every contract.
Yeah, that's what we have right now. But
mine's right here. Indemnification is, I have that covered right here. Pool or other water features inherently dangerous and can lead to death. I have everything in mine, and if it pertains, it pertains. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Okay.
So, but I wouldn't copy mine because mine's pretty. I'm probably not as protected as I should be.
I don't know, but we should probably have that. We're not liable for death part. We should put that in ours.
Yeah, that's an important part. The guy that this is a funny story. The guy that said I want to know if I have a $30,000 worth of pavers. He's a pretty high powered attorney in Spokane, and so I had a client take me to court for my down payment. So he gave me a down payment and then was sat on my schedule for 3 months. And then he called me up and he got mad and canceled, wanted his down payment back. And I'm like, dude, it says it on your contract. You don't get your down payment back. So he sued me. So I called up my client and I was like, what do you think? And he, send me your contract. So I sent it to him and he goes, you're good. You're fine. No, this guy doesn't stand a chance. Well, I go to court and I lose. And that's when I learned that it really depends on the judge, right? And that judge, basically, he didn't listen to a word I said. He had decided that ruling before I showed up to court that day. And I know that because we were the last case and I watched every other case and he would ask all of the participants questions. And when it came to me, he didn't ask me a question. Whatever I said, he dismissed. It was terrible. So I called my client back up and he goes, how'd it go? And I was like, I lost. All right, send me your contract. The dude rewrote my contract, but it was like, I mean, he was like, Kelly, this is long. I mean, I never used it because it was just way too much, but he didn't even charge me. He was ticked and he's like, you use this contract and you are protected against everything. He goes, I don't know if I'd sign it.
And you never used it.
I never used it. And he told me, he said, you can use it. You can throw it away. You can modify it. I don't care what you do. Wow. But it was intense. So that's the problem, right? This guy, he doesn't lose. And he flat out told me my verbiage was perfectly fine. And the judge twisted it and I ended up losing.
Those liberal judges.
Dude, it was terrible. I felt so stupid. He just wouldn't listen to a word I said. So that's the way it is.
Did you just have to give back the deposit?
Yeah. So this guy was from California. So we got out of court and I saw him out in the lobby and I pulled my checkbook out and I started to write him a check. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm writing you a check. And he goes, you're not going to escalate this. You're not going to, I mean, cause you can appeal and then you can take him to court again. And I looked at him and I go, dude, I said, honestly, I don't want to look at your face again. And I don't have time to sit in court. You're retired. You have nothing but time. And I said, the sad thing is for you, because you'll never get to use me to do a landscape again. And I wrote him a check, gave it to him, and he was shocked. Shocked, stunned beyond belief. And I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time to go to court 3 or 4 times. I was like, I learned my lesson. I'll rewrite my contract. That's fine. And I rewrote it. Where is it? It's in payments somewhere.
About the deposit?
Yeah. I don't. Oh, I guess I better add it. I don't know if it's in here.
Wow.
There you go. I'm glad we had this conversation.
I'm going to hurry and hire you for a job right now before you change it.
In like 20 years, that was the only. No, we've had it happen twice where people canceled on us. One of the times the gal was like, I know I lose my 15%. I don't care. Keep it. And she was freaked out because Trump got elected. So that was it. She canceled. She said, keep my money. And that was it. That was the end of it. It's only happened twice.
So do you keep deposits then? You don't give them back? Is that part of your...
Here's the deal, Joshua. If somebody calls me up and they're like, my wife just passed away and I can't do this project, I'm going to give them their money back. But if you
Yeah.
sit on my schedule for 3 months and I passed up a bunch of jobs, you better believe I'm going to keep their
Yeah.
deposit because I
Yeah.
don't have time to make up for it. And I explain that heavily when I'm sitting in front of somebody. Yeah. And I tell them, look, you're on my schedule. I don't play games. I don't move you around. I don't put somebody else in front of you because they offered me $2,000, which I've had that happen before many times. People say, well, I'll give you extra money if you can get us done first. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So
Yeah.
I tell people, I take it serious. Don't sign with me if you think you're going to cancel, because I'm going to keep your money.
Yeah.
Our contract, they have 3 days to cancel after they
Yeah.
sign. And then anything after that, if they cancel, if we have ordered anything, we keep the money that covers that, and we'll drop off the material if you want it because you bought it. But that's how we work it, is they have 3 days to cancel.
I had one gal years ago sign contract with me, and she's like, I can't give you the down payment yet. And I'm like, it's fine. 1 week before the job, it was $100,000 job. 1 week before the job, her loan fell through. And she called me up devastated. And she's like, I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I can't even, it was like, it was like a $15,000 down payment. And she's like, she gave me like I think it was like $3,000. And she said, I'll give you the rest when I get the loan. I was like, that's fine. And she's like, look, I'll make payments to pay you the rest of the down payment. And I was like, oh my gosh, listen, this is a bad day for both of us. I forgive you the 15% and let's just move on. So I'm not a jerk, but this guy, yes, he was a jerk. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep your money. This is stupid. You tied you tied my calendar up for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. Anyway, I have some work to do, Greg. I got to go in and spruce up my contract. So
I have a question if you've still got some time.
yep.
So on our next project that's coming up, Cole ordered a big nursery order for all the plants, and I went in to record that order, but there's no place to put in how much we actually paid versus what we budgeted in the proposal. In our, not in the
Correct.
proposal side, but like, what our costs were.
Yeah.
What's in the catalog.
Right.
So
I get that.
where does that number get put in of how much we actually spent, so that the project numbers at the end, we can see what our profit actually was, because maybe we got a discount on plants, or maybe we paid more than we were planning to, or
right
whatever.
now, the only thing I can tell you is QuickBooks is going to take care of that.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So do you have, Joshua just explained this to me this week. Do you have the ability to do job costing in QuickBooks?
I mean, yes, but have I? No.
Okay. So well, that's crazy, Melissa. I would think of all the people that I've ever met in the world, you would do that. So,
It's because I'm trying to train my husband to get me all the numbers I need.
Agreed. So my assistant is awesome at this. And she basically takes all the bills and puts them in QuickBooks and job costs them. And so when she does that, it's actually really cool, Melissa. I tell people QuickBooks is going to be like your general practitioner. Okay. It gives you the overall health, and Elevation is more like your specialty doctor, right? It's really kind of narrowing things down. The reason why you still want to use QuickBooks is because of what you just said. You can't guarantee that Cole is going to record everything when he orders it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the software.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that my guys are going to do it. I'm training them and they're really good at it. But if you're putting all of those invoices in, then you'll be able to go through and say, all right, these invoices are in. Do you really want to know why we actually built Elevation the way we did? I haven't explained this to anybody yet, but this is okay. Melissa, maybe, and if I go in too long, you guys can jump off, but this is kind of a near and dear question to my heart. And I'll tell you why. In 2009, when I was broke, all right, I went to Greg and I said, I need help on the business side of things. I know how to landscape. I don't know how to run a business. I can pay you $0, take it or leave it. And he said, I'll take it. And then he and I and my accountant spent every Monday for the next, 5 years, Greg? 5 years?
5 or 6 years. Yeah. 5 or 6 years. At least.
Every Monday night for 3 hours, pouring through what's been ordered, what's in QuickBooks, and how am I going to have enough money to make it through the winter? We could never figure out exactly where I was each week.
It's hard. We did, but it's hard.
We figured it out, but because, Melissa, you'll understand this. Okay. Especially you buy from Gibson's, right?
Yeah.
Up until last year, Gibson's was the worst because they take 3 months to give you a bill. And so you could be looking at your accounts payables and you could be like, hot dang, we're making money. And then like a month later, you get a bill from Gibson's that's $60,000 and you're like, oh my gosh. So that's really what inspired the whole ordering materials in the project budget. Our whole thing was you will put in the bills as they come in. Okay. And you should be able to look at a job in QuickBooks and look at elevation. And you should say, all right, I've got invoices from Interstate for gravel on the Smith job. And it looks like we've ordered, 60 yards. But in elevation, we're showing that we've ordered 80 yards. And the whole point of this whole thing is so that you can sit on your computer and find that gap. And eventually, as we get reporting, it's going to be easier because you'll be able to click off and be like, okay, yeah, there's 20 yards out. And then you can come to the end of the project and you can be like, okay, this is where I am today. So when it comes to plants, there is no way to adjust that number in the budget. You'll just have to know that in QuickBooks, it was a little bit less, or a little bit more. Now, once you figure out how much it actually like, let's say you bid $5,000 in plants and you got some discounts and you actually spent $4,500, right? Now, if you want to give that back to the client, you can write them, you can give them a credit, or you can write a change order for the plants, right? So the way you would do it then is you would go in and you'd write a change order for the plants, and then you would delete the old plants and then write a change order for the new cost of the plants, and then they would sign it, and then they would get that difference. And that's how elevation would show you the real numbers.
But yeah, I don't know. You'd ever want to give it back if you did it.
Why would we do that?
Right. So QuickBooks is going to tell you the information you want to know.
Okay, so it's not meant to have that information in elevation. I wasn't missing something of where to put in that number or anything like that. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something there.
Elevation is really built to see if you're staying on budget.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
A question on that, Greg, as you're building out the reporting section, I don't necessarily ask this question yet or not, or we'll see in a couple of months when you have it out, but will it show the actual or the estimated amount for the project, and then the actual for each of your items that you budgeted?
Yeah. The whole purpose of it is to do just what you're talking about. And so you can look at it by job. You can say, here's what the proposal, here's what your estimate said you were going to order, here's what you actually ordered, and it'll show you that very easily. And you can break it out by individual material, by job, or total company. And so very easy, it'll be very easy to see what's going on.
So then there would need to be that number in of what we actually spent on that item.
I'm sorry, there would be?
So then you would need to be able to see, we would need to be able to input how much we actually spent.
So we're talking right now, what we're talking about is how many, so if the proposal said you need to order 60 yards of gravel, Did you order 60 yards of gravel? That's what
Okay,
the
so
reporting.
the reporting will not show cost.
Correct. The
I see,
reason,
okay.
part of the reason for that is we don't want people to have to double enter, right? QuickBooks still has to be your source of truth when it comes to accounting and all that. So you have to enter it there.
Yeah.
We didn't want to have people to, enter it here, enter it there. We'll see where this transpires once we are going to connect to QuickBooks. And we're going to be able to move things around. So we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to know at a glance, I guess plants would be, I just want to know quantities, right? I guess that's my thing. I want to make sure I'm bidding the right amount of quantities. When it comes to the cost, I'm going to let QuickBooks tell me that, but I want to make sure I'm bidding the right amount of quantities. And then, like Greg said, you can take, the only way your cost would be off then is like you said, if your client went out and purchased, but this is a good question though, Melissa, like plants, I tell my clients plants are a variable because they could want bigger plants. They could want nicer plants. And so I always just go to my clients and say, look, I've got my overhead and my profit all wrapped up in your planting bid. If you exceed what I bid, I'm just going to charge you my cost on the additional plants. And that's why I mark it up, right? So I make sure I mark my plants up originally. So I'm making $4,500 to $5,000 a day. That way, if they go over on just nicer plants, but if they're like, like case in point, the guy that my client that I was telling you about, the attorney, when it came time to plant, he was like, what's this 1 gallon crap? I want 5 gallon crap all over the place. Well, that was a change order because, that's going to take more labor, blah, blah, blah. So, I always, when I do plants, I put the order into the nursery and I always tell them, please give me a quote back on what this is going to cost. Then I compare that quote to what I have in the software. If it's less, we're good to go. If it's more, I write a change order for the difference.
I see. Okay. Sounds good.
It's a good question though.
I think that's, you guys understand how the sales tax system works too in the markup page? Seems pretty.
You just put in the percentage?
Yeah, but it's a little bit more than that. I want to make sure you guys understand this. We had to build this to accommodate every state in the union, right? Because every state collects sales tax completely different. For instance, Idaho, you only have to charge sales tax on materials, not markup of your materials, right? So, in our software, you see that you have your sales tax, right? So on this particular job, it's 9.1%. It's in Washington State. So, and why Washington State standards, I have to charge sales tax on materials, labor, equipment, and subcontractors, and I have to charge it on markup. But if you're doing a job in Idaho, you only have to charge on materials, and they're at what, 6.7 or something like that. I don't remember what it is, but so this system right here, it seems so simple, but boy, did it cost us a lot of freaking money. This system right here should take care of every state in the union. And if it doesn't, then you can put a manual amount here.
Wow.
That happened. We were working with somebody in Missouri, in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And they were looking at our simple taxes. This doesn't work for me at all. And so that's where this came from.
Wow.
So that's how you would do Idaho. And then this is how you do Washington.
So that's how you
Probably would
determine
be.
where you want to
Go
live.
ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because obviously we know that our wonderful governor has now put in an income tax. But I don't know if you know this, Idaho has a 5% income tax.
Yeah.
So it's still a wash
Yeah.
as to whether you live in Washington or Idaho. It's going to get worse for Washington, but it'll take, I think, about 4 years. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
So every single bid though, you need to put that tax portion in though, right? It's not something where you can
Correct.
set it and forget it.
Well, no,
Correct.
so when you set the taxes, it sort of remembers that. And then each change order as well, it will remember what you set. So it knows what taxes you applied to the original proposal. Every change order gets applied automatically.
Gets the same. Okay.
so you're both correct. So Joshua, every client, new client, you have to set the tax rate for that client.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay.
And the reason
Okay.
why it's not a set it and forget it is because I don't know if you do this, but depending on where your client lives, you're going to charge a different sales tax rate.
Yeah. That could be kind of nice, actually. I mean, it's just a thought in the catalog under the clients when you go to the customer's profile and you can see a list of all their jobs, and if there's a tax setting for that client right there where you can plug it in for them and then set it and forget it for them.
Mhm.
For each address. Well, where we're going with it, I
And
don't know
then-
when we're going to get there, but there are services out there that will tell you based on an address what the taxes are. So
QuickBooks, you guys know QuickBooks is finally doing that. It only took them 25 years to do it,
Yeah.
but
it's not an easy
Huh.
thing to implement. So
if you
Yeah,
go
we
to
just
QuickBooks-
use the website and
Right.
the tax website and plug in the address.
well, you guys know that there's an app too, right? Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah. So Washington Department, lovely people. You go to, are you guys Android or Apple?
Android.
Apple.
Okay. So either store, go to the store and you look up the Washington. Here, I'll look it up right now. I have it on my phone. So Melissa, you don't even have to go to the website anymore. And if you're meeting with a client, you can just tap where you're at and it will tell you. What is it? I don't know the name of the app is here. I think it's Washington sales. Let me type in sales tax. But they have an app. Yeah. Washington sales tax rate lookup. And you
Mhm.
can put that on your phone. And then, and I use it all the time. And it allows you can go location or you can type in the client's address. And so you type in the client's address and it tells you the exact sales tax. I use it every bid that I do. That's how I do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
that
only
app.
for Washington, right?
Correct. Well, Idaho is just a straight sales tax.
Okay. Yeah, right.
It doesn't
Well-
change.
Melissa, what was the tax website?
Oh, let's see. Is there a place I can just copy and paste this into the chat?
Yeah, you can go to the chat. Yeah, you see on the lower right-hand corner, there's a little square chat box.